Let's unearth 15 rock songs from 1973 that shattered the mold, rewired identity, and dragged the future through a wall of sound. These weren't just hits, they were acts of rebellion dressed as records. And the final track? It turned one man into a messiah and made Freebird an eternal rite of passage. 15. Roxy Music, Editions of You. This wasn't music. It was chaos in a tailored suit. Editions of You was glam's avant-garde detour with Brian Ferry yelping, Brian Eno twisting synth knobs into interstellar static, and Andy Mackay's sax exploding through every crack. Fast, flamboyant, and fearless, it took glam rock's drama and made it art school dangerous. It didn't chart in the US, but every art rock band from Talking Heads to Franz Ferdinand took notes. Roxy didn't just push boundaries, they glitched through them. Next, a Texas trio who made minimalism sound like a freight train at full throttle. 14. ZZ Top, La Grange. This was blues rock dipped in hot sauce and left to smoke. La Grange introduced ZZ Top's signature swagger, tight riffs, loose lyrics, and just enough sleaze to raise eyebrows. Built around a John Lee Hooker-style groove, it paid tribute to a real-life Texas brothel and turned into a barroom anthem. It didn't chart high, but it outlived its moment, and still rips harder than most of what came after. ZZ Top didn't just bring the blues to the masses, they made it swing with a beard. Next, a ballad that wasn't soft, just surgically honest. 13. Billy Joel, Piano Man. This song didn't want to be famous, it just wanted to make rent. Piano Man was based on Joel's time playing in a bar to survive, and that weary empathy bled through every note. Harmonica, waltz rhythm, stories of drunks and dreamers. It was like Springsteen at closing time. It only reached number 25 on the Billboard Hot 100, but it built a cult following that would carry Joel into icon status. This was the song of a man watching his own future slip away and grabbing it anyway.
About life for a while. And the piano.
Next, punk's chaotic blueprint, delivered with cuts, crashes, and pure adrenaline. 12. Iggy and the Stooges, Search and Destroy. This was the sound of demolition. Search and Destroy didn't chart, it didn't care. Iggy snarled over Ron Ashton's molten guitar lines, and together they detonated what would later become punk rock's holy foundation. The energy was pure chaos, the lyrics straight from a Vietnam vet's fever dream. At the time, nobody got it. Years later, it would become one of the most influential rock songs of all time, covered, worshipped, and tattooed into the DNA of rebellion. Next up, a rock opera's emotional climax, soaked in rain, rage, and redemption. 11. The Who, Love, Reign O'er Me. A thunderstorm in song form. Love, reign o'er me. Closed out Quadrophenia with a fury that could only come from Pete Townshend's guitar and Roger Daltrey's full-throated prayer. It wasn't just a rock ballad. It was an emotional cleansing. Rain crashes, drums erupt. Daltrey pleads like a man unraveling at the altar of his own past. It didn't chart high, but its cinematic power made it legendary and a permanent live staple. Next, a theatrical epic with English roots and cosmic ambitions. 10th Genesis, Dancing with the Moonlit Night. This was prog rock as poetry and prophecy. Dancing with the Moonlit Night opened Genesis's Selling England by the Pound with Peter Gabriel's soft lament, and then spiraled into a labyrinth of shifting rhythms and medieval visions. It was anti-commercial, anti-Americanization, and completely spellbinding. This wasn't background music. This was storytelling as ritual, a song you had to walk through. Genesis didn't just play songs, they built mythologies. 8. Montrose, Rock the Nation. This was the blueprint for American hard rock. Rock the Nation introduced Montrose, featuring a then unknown Sammy Hagar with power chords, precision, and pure attitude. Produced by Ted Templeman, the track felt like Van Halen before Van Halen. And it was no accident. Eddie Van Halen later cited this exact record as a key influence. It didn't chart big, but it echoed through garage bands for decades. This was no-nonsense, high-octane lead-foot rock, and it never let up. Next, the New Jersey poet who turned boardwalk bars into holy ground. 7. Bruce Springsteen, Spirit in the Night. Before he was the boss, he was just telling stories under the stars. Spirit in the Night was part of Bruce Springsteen's 1973 debut, a rambling, sax-soaked tale of misfits, motel escapes, and something close to magic. It wasn't a hit, but it introduced what Springsteen would become, the bard of broken promises, the hero of Heartland Escape. The characters here, Crazy Janie, Wild Billy, would echo through his later work like ghosts in denim. And next, a southern slow burn that closed more concerts than it ever did radio hours, but became eternal. 6. Lynyrd Skynyrd, Free Bird. This wasn't just a song, it was a ceremony. Free Bird started soft, a funeral hymn for lost love, and then took off in a blaze of guitar fury that defined live rock. Released on their debut album in '73, it became an anthem for independence, heartbreak, and letting go. The dual guitar solo? A blueprint for Southern rock's theatrical climax. Audiences never stopped yelling for it, and bands never stopped trying to match it. 5. Aerosmith, Dream On. This wasn't just a ballad, it was a prophecy. Dream On was Aerosmith's breakout, and it hit like a whisper that turned into a wail. Steven Tyler's falsetto climbed higher than the charts. It only hit number 59 in '73 before climbing later. But the ambition was already there. This was about time, regret, and never giving up on the climb. It became their signature song, and the skeleton key for every power ballad that followed. Coming up, A Stairway Was Too Soft. This next one was a countdown to impact. Led Zeppelin, Over the Hills and Far Away.
More than enough. Oh, darling, darling, darling.
This track was the moment where folk, fantasy, and raw blues power finally fused. Over the Hills and Far Away opens like a Tolkien daydream, but halfway through it slams into a riff that feels like the hammer of the gods. Led Zeppelin had already conquered the world by '73, but this was proof they weren't repeating themselves. They were evolving. Page's guitar work, Plant's soaring voice, Bonham's heartbeat drumming, all roads led here. It wasn't just about traveling, it was about transcendence. Next, time bends, ticks, explodes, and the band that made it sound like the end of the world. 3. Pink Floyd, Time. The clocks rang, the heartbeat thumped, and everything changed. Time was Pink Floyd's warning shot. A sprawling existential masterpiece that caught you mid-life and held your face to the mirror. David Gilmour's solo wasn't just iconic, it was a scream against slipping away. From the tick-tock intro to the lyric, and then one day you find 10 years have got behind you, the track hit too close to home. On the dark side of the moon, this was the pulse and the reminder. The last 2 tracks, they rewired culture and opened emotional floodgates. 2. Bruce Springsteen, Blinded by the Light.
Where this very unpleasing sneezing and wheezing, Calliope crashed to the ground.
This one was too fast, too dense, too brilliant to ignore. Blinded by the Light was Bruce Springsteen's poetic explosion. A wild ride of internal rhymes, teenage confusion, and rock and roll myth-making. It didn't chart in '73, but it introduced the world to his frantic genius. And years later, Manfred Mann's cover would turn it into a #1 hit. Still, Bruce's original version had the grit, the heart, and the vision. This was Jersey Street poetry with jukebox dreams, and it made rock literary again.
Nights of the sun. Oh, but mama, that's where the fun.
Next, a royal debut, a thunderclap, a mission statement wrapped in operatic ambition. First, Queen, Keep Yourself Alive. This wasn't an entrance, it was a coronation. Keep Yourself Alive was Queen's very first single. And even if it didn't chart, it screamed every intention they had, to blow the doors off every room they entered. Brian May's layered guitar tone, Roger Taylor's hurricane drums, Freddie Mercury's defiant theatrical howl. This wasn't just a band playing music, this was destiny introduced at full volume. The song said, "You might not know us now, but you will." 1973 wasn't subtle. It was glam, grit, and glory, where rock grew fangs, painted its face, and dared the world to look away. From Floyd's ticking doom to Queen's glittering arrival, these songs didn't just top charts, they tilted the axis. So which one still plays in your head like it never left? Drop your pick in the comments and let's argue about it. And if this journey lit your fuse, tap the end screen and dive into our next countdown. 1972, rock songs that changed music history forever. Because before the Kings arrived, the revolution was already echoing. The future of rock didn't begin in a stadium, it began in a basement, with a guitar, a story, and a reason to scream.